For most adults, sleep feels safe. It feels like rest, a chance to let go of the day and drift into something quieter. At the end of a difficult day, sleep is often where we go to recover. We turn off the lights, close the door, and trust that everything will still be there when we wake up. But for some babies, physical closeness can feel safer than sleep itself. Many parents notice the same pattern. Their baby falls asleep peacefully while being held, only to wake moments after being placed down. It can feel confusing. If the baby was tired enough to sleep, why would they suddenly resist it? The answer may have less to do with sleep than most people imagine. Because before babies understand language, before they understand routines, and before they understand that a parent always comes back, they understand something else: proximity, warmth, presence, a familiar heartbeat.
For adults, safety is often something we think about. We remind ourselves that the house is secure. We remember that loved ones are nearby. We understand that the darkness is temporary and that morning will come. But babies do not experience safety through reasoning. They experience safety through sensation. A young infant does not know that a parent is only a few feet away in another room. They do not understand tomorrow. They do not understand schedules. Instead, they rely on what their senses can detect in the present moment: the warmth of a familiar body, the smell of a caregiver's skin, the sound of breathing nearby, the gentle rhythm of movement and touch. These signals may seem small to us. Before babies learn to regulate themselves, they regulate through relationships. Researchers often describe this process as co-regulation. In simple terms, a baby borrows stability from another person. When a caregiver holds an infant close, breathing patterns often become calmer. Muscles soften. Stress responses become easier to manage. What looks like simple comfort is actually a remarkably sophisticated biological process. The caregiver's body becomes a source of organization for systems that are still developing. In many ways, a baby's first experience of emotional regulation is not something they do alone. It is something they experience together with another human being.
Long before a baby recognizes their own reflection, they become familiar with rhythms. The rhythm of a heartbeat, the rhythm of breathing, the rhythm of being carried, rocked, and comforted. These experiences begin before birth and continue throughout early infancy. For some babies, those familiar rhythms become closely associated with safety itself. This is why a child may settle against a caregiver's chest even before they fully fall asleep. The nervous system recognizes something familiar, something predictable, something that has repeatedly been connected with protection and comfort. When people hear the word stress, they often imagine deadlines, responsibilities, or difficult situations. But stress is also a biological process. Even infants experience stress responses when they feel discomfort, uncertainty, or separation. The difference is that young babies cannot easily calm those responses on their own. Physical closeness often acts as a buffer. A caregiver's presence helps reduce activation and makes it easier for the baby's body to return to balance. This does not mean every cry is harmful or every separation is damaging. It simply means that connection has measurable effects on how a developing nervous system experiences the world. Not all babies experience separation in the same way. Some seem comfortable being placed down and gradually learn to sleep with very little support. Others remain highly aware of every change in their environment, every shift in sound, every change in position, every moment of distance. These differences are often connected to temperament rather than parenting quality. Some children arrive in the world with nervous systems that are naturally more sensitive and more reactive. What feels like a small transition to one baby may feel much larger to another. Understanding this can help parents move away from self-blame and toward a more compassionate understanding of their child's unique needs. Researchers have long observed that some children respond more intensely to both positive and negative experiences. They notice more, react more, and often require more time to settle after stimulation. These babies are sometimes described as highly sensitive, but sensitivity is not a flaw. In many cases, it simply reflects a nervous system that processes the world more deeply. A sensitive baby may need more reassurance before sleep, not because they are difficult, but because their internal alarm system activates more easily. The same sensitivity that creates challenges in infancy may later become empathy, awareness, creativity, and emotional depth. Perhaps this is why so many parents find themselves standing in a dark hallway late at night, caught between competing emotions. They want to help their child, they want to rest, they want to do what is best, and sometimes they are not entirely sure what that is. These moments are rarely discussed honestly. Parenting advice often promises certainty, but many parents discover that real life feels much more complicated. The baby's needs are real, the caregiver's limits are real too. Holding both truths at the same time may be one of the most difficult emotional tasks of early parenthood. One of the most persistent ideas in modern parenting is that dependence and independence are opposites. The assumption is that responding to a baby's need for closeness somehow prevents them from becoming confident and self-reliant. Yet, attachment research has often suggested the opposite. Children who experience reliable comfort and responsiveness tend to develop greater confidence exploring the world around them. Security does not compete with independence. It supports it. A child is more willing to move away from a safe base when they trust that safety will still be available if they need it. In this sense, closeness is not the obstacle to independence. It is often the foundation from which independence grows. One reason sleep can become such an emotional struggle is that modern parenting expectations do not always align neatly with developmental biology. Human infants evolved in environments where physical closeness was constant, and where multiple caregivers often shared responsibility for childcare. Today, many parents are expected to meet those same needs while navigating isolation, work demands, sleep deprivation, and limited support. The result is a tension that many families quietly carry. The baby seeks proximity because their biology asks for it. The parent seeks rest because their biology asks for that too. Neither need is unreasonable. Both are deeply human. Many parents carry thoughts they rarely share with anyone. They love their baby deeply, yet they sometimes feel overwhelmed by the constant need for closeness. They may feel guilty for wanting space, guilty for feeling exhausted, guilty for wishing bedtime looked different. These feelings can create a quiet loneliness because parenting culture often encourages certainty instead of honesty. But the reality is that love and exhaustion frequently exist together. Gratitude and frustration can exist together too. A parent who feels tired is not failing. A parent who needs support is not weak. They are responding to one of the most demanding periods of human life. One of the most important ideas in developmental psychology is that self-regulation does not appear out of nowhere. It develops gradually through thousands of experiences of co-regulation. A baby is comforted after distress. They are held when overwhelmed. They are reassured when frightened. Over time, these repeated experiences begin to shape the nervous system itself. What was once borrowed slowly becomes internalized. The ability to calm down, recover from stress, and tolerate difficult emotions grows from a history of being helped through those experiences. In this sense, physical closeness is not the opposite of self-regulation. For many children, it is part of the pathway that makes self-regulation possible. When we look at a baby who settles more easily in someone's arms than in a crib, it is tempting to focus only on the behavior. We ask how to change it, how to improve it, or how to make sleep happen more efficiently. But beneath the behavior is a deeper question. What is the baby's nervous system trying to communicate? What conditions help them feel safe enough to rest? Sometimes physical closeness is not a preference. It is information. It is familiarity. It is reassurance. It is the present. And perhaps that is why physical closeness can feel safer than sleep for some babies, because sleep asks for surrender, while closeness provides reassurance. Sleep asks the nervous system to let go, while connection helps it feel safe enough to do so. Every family must find its own path through these difficult nights, balancing the needs of both parent and child. But one truth remains remarkably consistent across development. Before children learn to stand on their own, they first learn what it feels like to be held. And sometimes that feeling becomes the bridge that carries them gently into rest.